Let us start the meeting, the Toastmasters. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Look at you guys.
Oh, wow. Drinks. I got escorted by the
police.
Nice.
The po-po.
Live finest.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, this is one of our newest businesses, Precise Nutrition. This is Sean Morton, and he is here today to share his wares, and I'll give him a moment just to take up a little time to say a little bit about his business.
Absolutely.
I was just here to drop off. Well, yes. Hi, y'all. I'm Sean. Here you go. Basically, we're Precise Nutrition, so we're right up the street, and we are mainly here to get the community healthy. Hey, how's it going?
How are you?
Thank you for the sign, by the way. It's amazing.
Thanks for being here.
So our sole purpose is really to preach health and fitness and teach people that there's other healthy options besides, not eating or eating fast food pretty much every day. So what we provide is our healthy meal replacement shakes that you have. That's going to be a meal replacement, and the teas are mainly for your energy, hydration, focus, especially with it being so hot out here. So instead of drinking, the Red Bulls, energy drinks, stuff like that have a lot of sugar, ours is sugar-free. And besides just a drink, we're actually providing information on how to be more healthy all day instead of just when they come see us. So that's the service that we provide. And then of course our Sweaty Sundays Fit Camp that I've only seen one person at so far that we do for the community. So that's free, that we do that every Sunday at 9 a.m. At Live Oak Park, and we just get a whole bunch of people together and make them sweat, and it's an amazing thing because people push themselves a lot harder than they would normally do by themselves. So just getting people together, motivate them, and slowly over time, that's how we create change. So that's why we're here.
It's a lot of hard work, but it is fun, and Sean will be enjoying a ribbon cutting ceremony on the 27th of September at 3 o'clock. So if anybody would like to join, there's a couple of Tri-County members and local businesses here. We'd all invite you guys.
Yes. So do y'all have any questions?
This is delicious.
Is it good?
So good.
Okay.
I feel like I'm cheating.
Vegan approved. Yes. No, you're not cheating. These are the flyers. Yeah. So we're open till 7.
Well, thank you so much
Thank you.
on behalf of the club. And you made a great Toastmaster because you were put on the spot and you delivered a great intro to speech.
I told him he should join us.
Yeah.
She did.
I told him he should join Tri-County Chamber and join us at Toastmasters.
Yes. I'll do the chamber first.
Okay.
So,
Well,
The time we just got
okay.
Yes.
Awesome. You're
chamber member on the board, and I'm also.
okay. Awesome. Well, thank you for your time.
bring?
So the orange is like orange pineapple. The red is like a watermelon raspberry. So you take your
Which one do you want?
the watermelon.
This one? Yeah.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Appreciate you.
You're the best.
He even let me.
Thank you. You did, yeah, you need it.
There's some tea there for you.
Come on up, get a tea from Precise Nutrition. It'll help you be a healthy, healthy lady. He's one of our new businesses and wanted to treat us.
Are you ready?
Sorry, Shankar.
No, that's.
I told him to be here before 5:30.
We have to be. We have to be able to improvise. Not a problem. Michelle, can I talk you into being a speech evaluator? I have forms there. Basically, you have to say what you liked about the speech, what you think could be improved, and that's it. Thank
It's
you
just
so
one
much.
person, right?
Yes, so I'll give you the forms.
Ontario because it was vegan?
I think I left vegan out first.
She did.
She said it was on.
I'm not sure what that is.
Huh?
Said I'm not sure
A
what this
fun fact about the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag is that when I was probably about 6 or 7 years old, living in the north of Luxembourg, I already knew that I had a deep love and appreciation for the United States. I didn't understand why, but I knew that I had it. I felt a huge attraction. So believe it or not, I had a flag printed out on paper. It was on my wall. And somehow, don't really know how because I didn't have access to the internet yet, I had gotten my hand on the script of the Pledge of Allegiance, and I did that every night before going to bed. I didn't know why, but that is to the point how much of a patriot I am. So whenever I do this nowadays, I just cannot believe how everything ties together. But it does, and so does the agenda of today. And I want to present the team, which will consist of the Toastmaster that I think I will do. The table topics master is Teresa Hernandez. Michael Hornes will be the WAG. Teresa is, all right.
Right.
I am confused here. You,
Table topics is Donna.
It's me.
it's Donna. All right. Sorry about that.
That's all right.
It's okay.
Did I sign up the wrong thing?
Nope.
I know. You were saying it.
The first evaluator is going to be Laura Farias. The second evaluator is going to be Michelle. And the timer will be Harlan. With that, we can proceed to the next part of the meeting where the Toastmaster introduces the first speaker. The first speaker tonight being Andrea Ferguson, who will tell us about how she sells relations, stories, and magic. Andrea, the lecture is yours.
Dear Toastmaster, guests, I am a content specialist. The words you see on digital platforms such as websites, magazines, social media, they're written by people like me. People who package content and deliver it in a way where it tells a story. Currently, I am writing content for a medical magazine, for a psychotherapist, blog content, and interpreting services rendered by an immigration lawyer. I like the way that marketing mogul Seth Godin said it, which is that people don't buy services and goods, they buy relations, stories, and magic. I'll tell you that writing a compelling story is not easy, especially if it's based on technical information. It requires research. I did a lot of research when I was at the University of Westminster in London, where I had to incorporate different methodologies. And so coming from a liberal arts background in the US, it was a different shift, I would say. I have a bachelor's in Spanish and Portuguese and Latin American studies. So I went from reading politics and culture in the Hispanic world to body composition and nutritional assessments. And I'm grateful for having done both because it lends itself to my ability to do research, as well as my ability to relate and develop content in various languages and being able to relate to people of different cultures. I also was an educator in ESL for over a decade and in interdisciplinary arts as well. So there are 3 main components to web development, and I actually am able to use my background in web development in content writing. Web developers build websites. They are responsible for the site's technical aspects of the website, like the performance and capacity. So they might be responsible for the traffic, for how slow or how fast it is, as well as the overall building of itself. Designers are responsible for the look of the site, from the way that you enter the site, the way it reads like a book, the way that the visual presentation that you see, from the exceptional and intricate icons to the transitions, and basically responsible for your web journey experience. And then there are the content writers, such as myself, who are responsible for writing. Can you guess what we're responsible for? Content! That's right. Good job. So we exist because in 2019, basically it's impossible to have a company without having a website, and not just any site. So people judge, and it's very important to understand that things have changed in the last few years. A site cannot just exist, but it has to not only run well, you have to know how to gain traffic that is going to increase your business, because you need the people to be able to do that. A gaming site might be able to handle advanced, a gaming site might need to be able to handle advanced graphics, whereas an e-commerce site, you'll need a payment processing application. But then there are other websites like a plastic surgeon. For example, a plastic surgeon website, you'll need to understand how to not only sell the plastic surgery, but self-esteem. And that is a mix of storytelling, persuasion, and science, which is what my job is. Through blog posts, newsletters, articles, this is all important because you have a fight for your customer's attention. From 1 to 13 seconds, that's all you've got. So you have to understand that you are in competition, and even if you don't have competition, you still need to be seen. You still need to have exposure. You need recognition, and if you don't have a website these days, you basically digitally don't exist. And since everyone relies on the internet these days, the lack of digital existence will attract no business. And when making your website or enhancing your content, you're not going to have the time to do that. What we really do is, with the web developing and consulting, is we make your vision a reality. And like I said, that involves designers, it involves web developing, it involves content creation, and my goal is to mix the research and the writing to create a compelling story that gives a call to action that cannot be ignored. And that's how I sell relations, stories, and magic.
Thank you very much, Andrea. By the way, Andrea knew about half an hour ago that she was going to talk today, so I think that is very good performance given the circumstances. Also, you notice this was almost a sales pitch, which is because we plan to sponsor a luncheon at the chamber, and Andrea might speak about these topics. So use these meetings to prepare for business occasions and take advantage of the possibility to get feedback. I forgot to let Michael tell us about the word of the day and also explain to us what his role today is. Michael, will you do that for us, please?
I sure will.
Awesome. Thank you for being here today. I know everybody has busy schedules, and it's not very easy to do once a week, but it's a good commitment and one that we should all try to be here for as much as we can. It's important for the folks who are presenting as well to have a good audience. So the word of the day today is horizon. So, I looked at the word of the day for today and I thought that word sucks. And so I picked the word of the day for my birthday. So that was horizon.
Happy birthday.
Well, thank you, sure. Horizon being the line at which the Earth's surface and the sky appear to meet, which is sort of bland and geographic, but it's also pretty neat when you're on a boat, you can see that. The thing that I like about that word, though, is the other description of it, is the limit of a person's mental perception, experience, or interest. Being that a person would like to expand on their horizons, right? You see a limitation, you see that distant point, and you want to grow, you want to become better, you want to move past that horizon. So, Andrea, that was really good. You did very well today. And I will also be working on the ahs, the ums, the so's, the ands, and I think that's about all I'm doing today. Yeah?
Yeah.
All right.
I clearly need to expand my horizon of clear flow of the meeting because I also forgot to let our timer Harlan tell us about his role and also explain the different times per speech.
Okay, thank you. Up here real quick. All right, so typical icebreaker type speech is going to be 4 to 6 minutes, and she did a very good job on that. When we get to tabletop, you're going to have 1 to 2 minutes, and then later in the meeting, I will go over how everyone did on their time.
Thank you so very much, Harlan. Now we come to our second speaker of tonight, which is going to be Shankar Poncelet. And he didn't know that he was going to talk up until about 5 minutes ago, or 10 minutes. And I want to use this as an opportunity to also show you how I went about doing this, because I am quite convinced that we all are perfectly capable to talk roughly 4 minutes about something that we have experienced or something that we are passionate about, because we do it all the time. It's something that is very much part of human nature. It's just when all of a sudden you are placed in front of an audience, you think that it is something different, but it really isn't. I thought, well, what can you talk about? And I told myself, you will talk about your passion for communication. I quickly jotted down 3 to 4 keywords about what that brought to my mind. And that is this sheet here. And now I'm going to go cover these keywords and talk about it. First, why is communication something I'm passionate about? Well, I happen to believe that communication is a key component of letting people be empathic, understand someone else's perspective, and by doing so, it broadens the horizon of everyone. It also is a way for people to go into situations that could potentially be very violent, and by applying good communication, you can take the violent component out of the situation. Very, very powerful ability of communication. When I immigrated to the United States, I decided that I needed to be more fluent and more able to clearly communicate and tell people what goes on in my mind. My girlfriend of the time, she had heard of Toastmasters. She was nervous giving presentations in front of class, so she said, please join me. She ended up not joining the club, but who did? I did. And I can tell you it was the best thing that I did for my career and my social paradigm here in the United States. Because being part of a society means being an active communicator in that society. And Toastmasters is what has allowed me to do that on a professional level, and thus has allowed me to be an active, contributing member of the society. I want to think back to the moment in my life where I first realized the power of communication. This was back when I was a police officer, and I will draw back on stories from that time very often, because it was just a time where I was really in touch with dealing with people in complicated situations. A man had stabbed his wife, and the wife had reported the incident, and we knew he was gonna be at his home. So we quickly drove to the home, and he was hiding behind a window. So I slowly approached the window and ducked down, and you kind of have to imagine that we spoke through the window like this. I wasn't sure if he was armed, but it was said that he could possibly be armed. So I was sitting like this on the floor, and I said, "Well, Joe, what's going on? What happened?" And he said, "I don't know, I killed my wife, I stabbed my wife, but you gotta understand, officer, she has turned my life into hell." But tell me, what happened? Well, you know, she started seeing that guy, and they just went on vacations, and she cheated on me, and she had access to our accounts and spent lots of money on lavish holidays and vacations, and I just couldn't take it anymore. I understand, John, you know, I really understand, but this woman has already made your life very complicated. Do you really want to allow the situation now to even make it worse for you? The best thing you can do for yourself right now is come outside and be accountable for what you have created in your life. Luckily, John at that moment decided to step outside and surrender and let himself be handcuffed. Now, we went to the office and went through the whole procedure of what an arrest means. And you know, we have about 5 to 6 hours where you have to be in very close relationship with that person. And I always tried to show the individuals that I could understand why they committed a certain act. Because one thing that is very important to realize is that giving understanding to someone does not equal justification. So I can understand that you did that, but I do not justify it. You do not believe how often I have put people into jail, and at the end of the procedure, just before I handed them over to the jailmaster, they thanked me for the way I communicated with them. I'm so grateful, officer, that you did not try to speak guilt into me and repeat what I did wrong, but you just had an open ear for my reasons and went in a professional way about your business. And that is something very powerful that made me realize this is really awesome, that you can have communication in a way where it's kind of passive, the listening part of it. You know, I sat down and I listened to what drove him to doing this. The listening part of communication is a very powerful aspect that we often forget. Hence, that is why I am a strong believer in communication, and why I will always work hard to become a better communicator and help other people to do the same. Thank you very much, dear Toastmasters. At this point, I would like to ask Harlan to give us the timers report for our two speakers.
All right. Andrea, 5 minutes and 45 seconds. Shane Carr, 5 minutes and 57 seconds. Right there, buddy. Way to wrap it up right at the end. Good job.
Thank you so much, Harlan.
Nice.
let's come to my favorite part of the meeting, the part where we all need to be on our toes and do what our friend Sean here had to do earlier. Impromptu speaking, and the Toastmaster, the table topics master of the night is Donna.
Well, good evening, everyone. Like Shankar said, my name is Donna Louder, and I am with the City of Live Oak. This week, my husband and I are readying ourselves for about 12 members of our family coming into town. And we are hosting all of them at the house, and they range from 40 to 7 months old. So we are getting ready to do that, and as I am thinking about all the things I need to buy at the grocery store, I call my daughter, which I call my bonus child. I did not have to give birth to her. She came to me as a 5-year-old with a second marriage, and so I called her from Virginia and said, if there was one thing you wanted to do when you came in and brought your family to Texas, what is it? And she said, oh gosh, Donna, I'd have to think about that. Can I tell you my answer on Wednesday when you pick me up at the airport? And I said, sure. Just think of what you want to do. Tonight, I'm not going to give you that chance to call and tell me what you want to do on Wednesday. You're going to have to do it. So that is what Table Topics does for you. It's an impromptu time frame of just calling on someone, giving them a topic, and they're light on their toes, and they have to give a 1 to 2 minute speech. So tonight I will just randomly pick. There's some faces out here that are not signed up on the list, so that's who I'll pick first. Gentleman in the black shirt. Your name? Matthew?
Yes.
Matthew, first question.
All right, am I coming up there?
Any way you want to. Yes, sir.
All right.
Dressing up pets, adorable or demented?
I say both. It's fun, it's cute. I wouldn't do it on a very hot day. It shows that you're spending time with your animal. It shows that you're paying attention to it. Presumably you had fed it and cleaned it before you put the funny costume on it. It's demented, but not in a harmless way. It shows that you're paying attention to your animal. Stop, I can't think of anything more else to say. But how long was I supposed to go for?
1
1
minute,
to 2.
How did I?
27 seconds.
You'll get better.
We've talked about this.
Yes, we did.
All right, thank you, Matthew. Again, impromptu. You weren't prepared. It just prepares us to do a little bit, expand our horizon on the topic. So the second one is Mr.
Sean.
Adams. Sean Adams.
Sean Adams. Come on up.
I think, right?
So your question is, what was your favorite cartoon growing up, and why did you like it?
So my favorite cartoon growing up was, I would have to say, would have been the Transformers. And the reason I say that is because it always had to do with cars. And growing up, that was my favorite thing that I liked. And as I got older, that's really what I got into. A teenager, I started racing cars. So I think it developed from that because it was robots fighting, turning into cars, and turning back into robots to fight again. And they had a series on them. And I think my favorite one out of all of them was Optimus Prime. It was an 18-wheeler. I didn't really have a passion for 18-wheelers, but for some reason he was the coolest one. So I used to like watching him at the beginning, coming over the horizon, and meeting up with the rest of his crew. And I guess that's my cartoon, my favorite cartoon.
All right.
Timer, are we doing good to do a few more?
Who's the general evaluator? That's the wrong person.
A general evaluator. Ms. Teresa?
Absolutely, go ahead.
Thank you. So if I'll ask Miss Laura to come on up. in our table topics.
Yeah.
As a child growing up, what did you want to be when you grew up?
So as a child growing up, I was one of 6. So in the middle, I wanted to grow up and be able to, get my share of the meal and, just take care of, I don't know, I ended up sharing so much and being in such a large family that for me, I eventually just enjoyed having family around. And I could do like party planning. I love party planning. I thought I wanted to be a lawyer, and then it's like, I'm not gonna go through all that schooling because I wanted to change my mind at a moment's notice as a child. It was nice to have that variation. It was, like I said, a group, constantly, huge family. So whatever I did, I knew I would end up having some sort of a gathering. Parties, I love to plan parties whenever possible, so I have that gene that my mom had to, get gangs together and enjoy having food, decorations, whatever I needed to do to have an enjoyable gathering. So I ended up, my first real career, I was an entrepreneur. I would do a lot of videography back in the day when you had the machine on the side and you had the big old camera. So I started out doing that. I graduated from college and was doing so many different things with family and whatnot. Then I ended up raising my kids for a while. And then I realized I'm doing a lot. So I was a teacher for 12 years. So I always had the groups, I always had the gang. So as a child, I went back to my childhood and could play with these kids, and I loved doing that. And so in the end, I ended up just playing a lot and having a great time as a profession. And that was instilled as a child, being one of 6 kids.
And just one last one, Mr. Poncelet. Mr. Michael Hornes, come on up. Tell us your worst Christmas gift ever.
Did you get a last one?
My worst Christmas gift ever. I have never had a terrible Christmas gift. I've always been a grateful person. I've also grown up in a family where everybody was very loud and I was fairly quiet. So I was an easy people pleaser. In that effort, every single gift I ever got, I was so grateful for. People would give me socks. Grandma, thank you so much. The socks were amazing. I love them. Oh, they're the coolest thing. I'm gonna wear them when it gets really cold outside. My brother would give me, an old gym sock that he wrapped up in an old newspaper, and I'd say, well, I appreciate the effort. So I don't really get bad Christmas gifts. I get gratitude for the people that love me and care enough about me to give me a gift. However, having said that, my wife had a very horrible Christmas, the first Christmas she ever spent with our family, because our luggage went from New York, and instead of going to Virginia Beach, went to Las Vegas. And so the Christmas present that I had for my wife, which was a very nice necklace or shiny thing, whatever it was, didn't make it. So that morning, I went to CVS, I guess, Walgreens, one of the two, and I bought her chapstick. I bought her a book or 2. She's a preacher, so I bought her a book on some religious nonsense that was just terrible. She got some perfume that I think said, $8. I didn't have a name. And I'm not sure what else that she got, but she got no good presents that year. And I was very proud that she became my wife, because she said, I'm so grateful for all these gifts. Thank you so much. Anyway, that's it.
You're our gift, Michael.
Wow.
Thank you for everyone.
Question.
Yes.
Were we supposed to say the word horizon in our talks?
Yes,
Yes.
you
None of us
missed
did.
that.
None of us did.
You
Thank
missed
you.
that
I
a
did.
little bit, or maybe you didn't hear the word of the day.
No, Horizon, right?
Yeah, but you
But
did.
none of us did it, did we?
Shankar said it.
And I
once.
didn't, but I was.
You said it, yeah, Sean's coming over to
Sean
her.
did say.
Thank you, Donna. And Michael, just in case you wondered, you had 4 so's.
Thank you. I did.
Let's see, the next part of the meeting is the general evaluators part, where Teresa Hernandez will take us through the process. And just as a reminder, the evaluators are expected to talk between 2 and 3 minutes. Teresa, would you guide us through the evaluation process?
I had to clap for myself. Approximately an hour and a half ago, I signed up for this role. I read the manual, which I don't know if everybody knows this. I didn't until I started Googling what does a general evaluator do. And you can actually go on the Toastmasters website, look through their manuals. Each role has a manual that you can look at. And I may and may not get them all correct. I'm just saying I did read it. And at this point, I forgot what I'm supposed to do, so we're gonna go through. You're going to evaluate Andrea. Michelle, you're going to evaluate Shankar.
Okay, I thought I was doing Andrea. I did also Shankar, because
Okay.
I wasn't
Oh,
sure.
perfect.
They said one person, so I did,
Now, I understood I was supposed to call for the timers report,
Yes.
but that's later, or?
Yes, that's after the 2 evaluations.
Okay, so
You
it's the
just follow
timers
the
report for the
lines.
evaluators,
The
okay.
time, yes, and also we forgot the table topics, so you can do that too. Then you
Okay.
get the WAG report, and then you give your own impression.
And that's after the first 2 evaluators,
Yes.
correct?
Yes.
Okay, so right now I need to introduce the first
That
evaluator.
is correct.
Perfect. May I introduce the first evaluator? Laura?
Yes. So I am evaluating Andrea. And so there are quite a few topics that they have us cover when we're evaluating. Thank you, Shankar, for educating me in the 30 seconds before it started. It always helps to have something in front of me. So I did have something in front and took some notes. So as we have heard in the past, Andrea is an amazing speaker. Her eye contact, the positives for her are, I mean, pretty much down the line. Her clarity is amazing. She has a great command of what she wants to say. The assistance you get with your phone serves you well because it keeps you on track. And that's a great thing that I wish I had. So the eye contact, a 5, you can rate, starting with a 5 down to a 1. And yeah, I would definitely give you 5 for eye contact as you were going, back and forth to make sure you covered the entire room. I thought that was extremely strong. Interesting, you had very interesting topic, and you had this circular way of starting and ending with the original thought of what your topic was going to be. Very, very positive. There are a few, of course, we have to say something is an assistance in maybe helping you improve. What I would say is pacing, the literal pacing, although that's a positive, it was a little bit fast as far as maybe stopping for a certain pausing in between topics when you were transitioning from one explanation of what was taking place in the business that you were describing and all of the different roles that you played and others played, maybe the physical stance or just pausing physically would help emphasize certain things. With all of the lists that you have, it was so interesting, but it was a lot. for the few minutes that you did give us, that I could see you talking as a presenter in a number of conventions and give a pretty good presentation that could definitely fill a lot of time. So when you squeeze it all into a little bit of time, that's a lot of information, and maybe just chunk a little bit out and give more details on a more specific, because you're very interesting. You had a very interesting talk. So there were a number of other things. You're interesting, like I said, are one of the topics here. Comfort level, you seem very self-assured and comfortable in front of the audience. The audience was watching. I know I had to take notes, but I wanted to keep eye contact because you definitely did that with everyone else. Your gestures were subdued. They weren't, over the top at all, which could be distracting. They were very appropriate, I thought. So I think that's all I have to say as an evaluator. Thank you very much.
I sat down like that. I'm sorry. And we would like to have Michelle come up to evaluate the second speaker, Shankar.
Hello. Had to evaluate Shankar. Very nice. In topic about communications. Clarity was, I have no issues with your clarity on the topics. It definitely rated up there. Vocally, I was sitting way back there and still understood everything you were saying. Eye contact, you were kind of focused on pretty much everybody you gave individual attention to. And your gestures, you didn't have any gestures other than when you were doing your reenactment. That was nice to add that to the story. Your comfort level is great because you're very comfortable talking. I don't see you having any issues. And it was a very engaging topic as well. And kept the audience involved with it. I know that some couldn't see you because you were kind of hunched back over here.
Yeah.
So I know they couldn't see you. That was the only other thing that I saw, that maybe that they were left out of that part. But other than that, it was a great topic to discuss. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Could we get a timer's report on our evaluators, please?
Yes, ma'am. All right. Thank you, ma'am. All right, first I'm going to go over the table topics, and we had a little bit of time. We had a little bit of time issues tonight. Okay, Matt, you were a little short on the. Gotta pick that up a little bit. You gotta have a few more things to say, even if you don't have a few more things to say.
Agreed.
Sean, you nailed it. 1 minute and 20 seconds. So right on where you're supposed to be. Laura, you went a little bit over. You were at 2:10, and Michael, you went a little bit over. You were at 2:09. Okay, so close. One of the things to remember whenever you're doing these is when it turns yellow, time to wrap it up. Okay, because that means on table talk, it's in between. You only got 30 seconds left.
Okay.
Okay,
I
do you have a
didn't even
question?
remember to look. I
Okay.
didn't even think about the time.
Yeah, it is color coded. Green means you've reached the minimum time. Yellow means that you've got half of whatever it was left. So if you're doing your regular speech and it's 4 to 6 minutes, it turns yellow at 5 minutes. Okay, green at 4 to say you've made the minimum. Yellow, and then of course it's going to turn red. And I'm pretty sure in the last 10 seconds it starts flashing a little bit so that you know, danger, Will Robinson, danger. Okay. All right, let's get to the evaluators. Laura, you went over just a little bit again on the evaluation. So you were at 313, and that's between 2 and 3. And then Michelle, you were a little under. You were at 123, and remember, this one is between 2 and 3 minutes. Now, once again, you guys picked up kind of the roles at the last minute, and so maybe we need to do a better job as a group announcing how much time that you are supposed to spend on this so that everyone has a better understanding of what the time is. we all have to get a feel for it too. Because you get up here and sometimes you think you've been talking a long time, you've been talking a minute. Sometimes you think you got a whole lot more to say and you've been talking for 5. So, all right.
Could I ask the word master and grammarian report to come up here, please?
Yes. Okay, I am still working out all the logistics of what it is that I'm supposed to say. Shankar, that's 2 O's for me.
You're on the horizon now.
So looking onto the horizon of the end of this meeting, as a part of that, I have to work through the fact that, as this part of the presentation, you get to tell people, here are the things that you were a bit deficient at. So I want to reiterate that this is not a deficiency, this is a part of this process. This is a part of what makes us better speakers, and that is super positive. So as we work through this, remember that that is the goal, for us to take our whatever percentage of ums and ahs and so's and reduce those down just a little bit so that the next time we do this, we get a little better, and a little better, and a little better, and a little better. All right? So having said that, Laura, you win for today. You actually said it while you were speaking it, so I think
hearing myself, I'm like, stop it.
I think sometimes it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. Once you do it once or twice, it becomes let's rock with the so train. That's my crutch. I get to do that for a little while. We had the so's quite a bit. We had a few of the ums. You had quite a few of the ums going on. It's such a hard thing. It's such a difficult thing when you're in the process of doing, just trying to find that next word. We have so's, ums, and ahs written down in here, and is actually that word is used quite a bit. Up to the horizon, and is used quite a bit. And is the other seemingly, okay, and I'm talking about this, and I'm working on that. Otherwise, everybody was really fantastic today. You did really well. The ings would be the last thing I would say. It was spoken about one of the last times. Try to enunciate those. I'm finding a way to get to the horizon. I'm working with saying that G, so I remember that from last time. We have a sort of laziness in our speech that does not enunciate as well, and I always find that foreign-born speakers of the English language are actually the best at doing it, and Shankar was absolutely finishing off that word where a lot of us are lazy in our pronunciation of finding a way to work through the sentence. So that's my report.
Thank you. The word that I always find interesting is for. And all of us generally say for, instead of for. Anyway, nobody wanted to know that. Thank you. So, I will go over and evaluate the meeting. The presiding officer. Is that you as well? Toastmaster, so I can just check you off for like 5 different things.
Right.
Shankar, thank you again for leading us in Toastmasters all together. You're amazing. You just pick up. You do what you need to do. Thank you. I'll go down to the word master. Funny. Thank you. But very encouraging, right? We need to lift each other up, and you're doing a great job of that too. I will go to the speaker number 1. Entree, it was really interesting. A lot of times we see what's written on the websites and we just take it for granted. I know I do until I started doing some social media, but you're right. That backstage, you gave us a look on that backstage, which I thought was pretty cool. And you did a great job, especially for doing this on the fly. Speaker 2. I know I said it already, but I think one of the things that come out to me that you said was giving understanding doesn't give justification. You're absolutely right. There's no reason we can't be understanding. We don't have to say that we justify it at all or they should justify it, but that was very powerful, so thank you for that. Timer, recap. I like how you decided to make sure everybody gets a recap before we start on this again. I think that's really important too, so that we know when the green pops up, that is 1 minute. So I think that's really important. Great idea. And our table topics, Matthew, Sean, Laura, Michael, I think you guys all did really good, considering this was impromptu, right? Evaluator 1, Laura. What I really like about what you did is what I read in the manual today is sandwich. It's kind of important that we sandwich things, so we sandwich the negative in between two positives or multiple positives. But you gave a very constructive criticism, but it was sandwiched in between very positive things. So thank you for doing that. You know, Michelle, you did a really great job. You're not as soft-spoken as you think you are. I think you did very well, and you spoke up. You pointed out something that I didn't realize anybody else had noticed, was when Shankar was over here, we kind of lost him. But it also added to, this is how the guy felt on the other side of the window, which was actually pretty cool. But you noticed that. I think that was really great. Couple things I can say of the whole meeting. Of course, it was a little bit different. We started a little bit odd. We were short on people. Let's not forget to shake hands when we switch over the floor. And I always clap for myself, even if you don't. So thank you so much for that. Other than that, what a great meeting. I think it was awesome. So I'll give it back to the Toastmasters.
So you can see, even if we have limited attendance, it is still a situation in which we feel nervous enough for it to be efficient to help us become better public speakers. As closing remarks, I want to remind everyone that Labor Day we will not have a meeting. I also want to call upon you to do a slightly better job to fill roles in advance, because it will avoid people having to step into roles last minute. I know the website, yes?
Sorry, real quick on that, I have a question and I was trying to get it answered. When I logged into the website, it showed who was speaking or who had signed up, but I couldn't figure out how to sign up. So did I miss that, or?
That is something that I need to improve.
Oh.
If you go to the home page and you click on the login button in the top right corner,
Yes.
it'll ask you to log in, and everybody has a username and password. For those who do not have that email anymore, where you can reset your password, it is by default the word toast with a capital T, so T-O-A-S-T, and then your initials in capitals. So for me, it would be capital T, O-A-S-T, capital S, capital P. Now I will improve the user experience of the website, but once you are on that view where it shows all the meetings, you have the option to edit the meeting, and you can add your name. You can actually add and change everybody's role, but please do not do that. If abuse happens, I might code some permission limitations in there.
Okay, so we just realized that it might be good for everyone to know that if you're using it mobilely, you can scroll over to the
Literally, that's all
to
it
the
was.
edge
I
where
didn't
you can
scroll
edit.
over.
Just see.
Okay. That is part of website development, which we refer to as user experience. We have to think about each screen size, and clearly that is a weakness of the site as of now. But I
Could
will
be operator challenged.
However, I will say that in your email, you did give the option for someone just to email you back
that
with
is
a role, so that they don't have to go through that, but you can
That's how I signed up.
choose that way too.
Or everyone can do it now.
For
So
the-
if you have
for the
questions,
impaired.
you can ask.
Yeah.
That is correct. All you have to do is come see me and tell me I will do this role at the next meeting.
I think all roles should be given to everyone that's not here today.
That doesn't help because they don't show up again. But then we're doing what we did before today's meeting.
Assign everyone's
Yeah.
role.
Is it part of the rule structure, whatever, for us to like, I had 2 thoughts or 2 evaluations I want to give. Is that part of the, can we do that? Or
Yes.
should I come talk? Well, one, when you crouched down while telling that story, I thought that was absolutely brilliant. It was like I was watching a movie scene. It was like Pacino in Dog Day Afternoon or that movie The Negotiator. When you did that, you communicated so much more than you could with any amount of words. I thought that was absolutely brilliant. I love that you did that. And you and I talked a couple weeks ago, you were nervous getting up there. I didn't see that today. Like your nervousness dropped
Big time.
significantly. I cannot compliment you enough.
That was great.
And
I didn't see any nervousness either.
So the comment, I was reading too, that there's different places that we can do different comments.
Yes. So once the club is started and we have all the materials, there will be little comment slips that everybody has available to them, and they can just jot down ideas, and after the speech is delivered, they can hand them discreetly and like that give feedback. There is also one of the speeches that you will have to do will focus on body language, where, for example, something like crouching down is important. But yeah, thank you for the comment. Yes.
Just a quick piece about you. Something I didn't know about you was that you were a police officer. As
Right.
me, I was married and still am married to a guy that was a police officer, and he was a negotiator. So he was you, and he's done that many a time with a man with a gun ready to blow his head off, and Jeff is just standing in a doorway talking to him just like you do. So communication is important, and it brought my husband home every night. So thank you.
That is me.
That is perfect. Those are perfect, very supportive closing remarks to adjourn this meeting. Thank you so much.